Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on the Green Deal Call. First of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for having the interest in listening to this webinar. If, of course, this is the first time that you are joining us, we are the Malta Council for Science and Technology, the Horizon 2020 unit, where we are managing and implementing the Horizon 2020 framework program. The Horizon 2020 framework program is obviously coming towards an end, but of course, new calls will be launched in 2021 under the New Horizon Europe. So we would like to take this opportunity to introduce the Green Deal call, which are the last set of calls related to under the Horizon 2020 framework. And we invite, of course, all participants to join and to participate in this call. Just to have a very brief overview of what we will be covering today. Again, for those of you that are unaware of Horizon 2020, we will be giving a very brief overview of Horizon 2020 and how the grants and the projects are structured under the types of actions. We will be also looking, of course, into the Green Deal calls, and they are extensive. There are at least 10 areas, which I will list right now. And of course, besides introducing the Green Deal calls, we shall be obviously introducing the best practices of applying for the Green Deal call, how we can help as an entity, and of course, looking into the partner searches and networking opportunities available to you beyond what we can provide also within the Malta Council for Science and Technology. Again, just before I start, you may use the chat box to ask any questions. We will be obviously providing the opportunity to ask questions towards the end of the presentation. So feel free to use the chat box and to have any kind of question. You can obviously write it in the text box, in the chat box within the application. As I mentioned, the Green Deal call is a specific set of last calls launched. And of course, within our units, we have a number of people working and concerning the different areas which are listed here. And I highly would recommend looking and taking note of the members within our staff that cover these areas. And of course, Tamara, George and Ian will be discussing later today each of the areas in more detail. So as I was mentioning to you, Horizon 2020, for those of you that don't know about Horizon 2020, it's one of the largest EU research and innovation programs related to R&I, of course. It is coming to a close now at 2020. It started in 2014. With the initial allocation of 80 billion euros of funding. As I mentioned previously, the Horizon 2020 program is going into the next phase, which will be called Horizon Europe, which will be obviously commencing from the year 2021. As I mentioned to you, this is the focus of today's presentation as we reach the end of the framework program. The European Commission this year, specifically towards the middle of this year, launched the actual Green Deal, which essentially is the initiative of the European Commission to be carbon-free, particularly with regards to the economy by 2050. So this is a very much extremely dedicated ambition of the European Commission, which is trying to move into this territory and trying to lead the way in terms of a climate neutral society and a very ambitious strategy to achieve this by the year 2050. The calls, of course, they have already been launched. They were launched during the R&I days in September of this year. And given the size of this call, there are a lot of opportunities. The total call is around 1 billion euros. And again, this is available to all of the EU member states and the associated countries, as well as international cooperation activities with other countries outside of the Horizon 2020 framework program. Again, the deal is very ambitious in terms of the objectives, and of course, considering that it is the Green Deal and it's related to climate ambition, there are still a lot of cost-cutting issues related to the Green Deal, and the Horizon 2020 framework program is trying to implement the strategy through the Green Deal call being launched under Horizon 2020. These are the call areas. Again, they're quite extensive in terms of the actual topics within each area. The first one is related to increasing climate ambition. The second area is related more to the clean, affordable, and secure energy. The third area is related to the circular economy. The fourth area is more on energy and resource efficiency. We have also an area about sustainable and smart mobility, the farm to fork, obviously, which is key to the Green Deal. And we have the ecosystems and biodiversity, which is area 7. And then under area 8, we have zero pollution, toxic free environment. We then have cross-cutting issues, which are characterized by area 9 and area 10. So strengthening our knowledge in support of the Green Deal and empowering citizens for transition towards a climate neutral, sustainable Europe. All of these areas are very cross-cutting, so they both are focused not only on the technical aspect, but they are also looking into the social aspects within the Green Deal. So it isn't focused primarily on technical innovations, but there's social sciences as well involved. And a lot of these issues are cross-cutting. We also have issues related to the marine environment, for example, agriculture, smart mobility. And this will be explained to you now as my colleagues will introduce each area. So these are the title of each topic, which I will leave there. But as you can see that for each area, we actually have other topics that have been termed under each area. So for example, in area 1, there is a topic on extreme wildfires. Under area 2, you have more on the development, for example, of electrolyzer, as well as area 3, which is focused on the industrial carbon cycle, and energy efficiency under area 4. Again, some of them have more than one topic, some of them just have one topic. And the same is here with area 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and of course 10. And we will go through all of these, of course, each of these topics right now. And as I mentioned to you, the Green Deal has been launched. The deadline is the 21st of January 2021. So there is still the time to actually apply for the topics. So it is, again, you have until the 26th of January 2021 to apply for these goals. Just going into the actual participation, again, the participation for those of you who've already participated in Horizon 2020, the same rule applies, both in terms of the member states and in terms of the associated countries. So of course, the same rules apply, just this is a special call which was launched, but all of the participation criteria remains the same. We also have third country cooperation, which in each topic is actually specifically described. Again, participation criteria is exactly the same, 3 legal entities from 3 different member states or associated countries. So again, the same participation criteria applies as with any other Horizon 2020 call. And most importantly, that we have the types of actions. So again, the main area here is the types of actions, which are very much the same as before. We have the research and innovation action, the innovation action, and the coordinated support actions. In this case, of course, the TRL levels are obviously are much smaller for the research and innovation actions. For the innovation actions, the TR levels are much larger, from 5 to 8. The most important thing to note here is that the funding rates for the companies are at 100% in research and innovation actions, whilst in innovation actions it is 70%, whilst it still remains 100%. So again, the same conditions apply to the for the Green Deal call. Just a clarification, as mentioned, we had questions with regards to the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is eligible to apply, and they are fully eligible to participate in the Horizon 2020 program. So feel free to reach out to candidates within the United Kingdom if you believe that they would be very good partners for the Green Deal. It will obviously, the time to grant is going to be around 5 months. So we do expect that after the closure in January to have at least 5 months of evaluation, and then another additional 3 months for the signature of the grant agreement. And I will now leave the floor to my colleague Tamara, who will be now discussing each area, and starting with area 1, increasing climate ambition. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your introduction, Steve. I now start by presenting to you the first area of the Green Deal call, increasing climate ambition. And area 1 is split into 3 topics, actually, starting from the first, which is preventing and fighting extreme wildfires with the integration and demonstration of innovative means. It's split into 2, so there is an innovation action and a coordination support action, which Steve just explained a few moments ago. And you can either address the innovation action part of the call or the CSA. However, these topics still go hand in hand. Here, the Commission wants to reduce the incidence and extent of forest fires. And this challenge will be addressed by the first subtopic, which will speed up the pan-European adaptation process to extreme wildfires by advancing and applying research and innovation, including demonstration pilot sites, while making best use of existing data, technologies, and services. These services include platforms and other efforts such as Copernicus, Galileo, and EGNOS. The CSA, on the other hand, aims to ensure that the demonstration of innovative and integrated approaches fulfills the expected impacts by coordinating and supporting the innovation action projects funded under this topic. These actions both have different budgets. So for the first, the innovation action, the budget is 15 to 20 million euro, and the CSA, the budget is 2 to 3 million euro. Next slide, please. The second topic is towards climate neutral and socially innovative cities. It's a research and innovation action. And here the specific challenge is that the strategic long-term vision published by the Commission for a prosperous, modern, competitive and climate neutral economy calls for a drastic reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And a huge budget of 53 million is allocated. However, this comes with a specific condition that at least 60% should be allocated to activities covered under Activity 4 for the financial support to third parties. And I will explain Activity 4. However, we can call this Activity 4 as a solidary granting mechanism. What will happen in Activity 4 is that once the services of the platform are made available, after that, open calls for proposals will be launched to support large-scale pilots for the deployment in lead cities or districts of systemic solutions combining as appropriate technological, nature-based, social, cultural, regulatory, and financial innovation and new business and governance models to underpin the climate transition, taking stock of existing best practices and already available solutions. These calls should be evaluated by external independent experts in a fair and transparent process. Slide 3, please. The third topic is climate resilient innovation packages for EU regions. We have an innovation action and coordination and support action. This specific challenge is that currently we experience the failure of economic, financial and industrial policies which are not able to sufficiently mitigate and adapt to climate change. This is a huge primary concern for societies worldwide. And therefore, the topic is split into two actions. And just like the previous one, you can either address the innovation action or the coordination and support action part of the topic. However, obviously, these support each other. And for the innovation action, the Commission recommends innovation packages for transformational adaptation of European regions and communities. And the actions should aim at enabling rapid and far-reaching change through the development of region-specific portfolios of R&D solutions, which are mature enough for demonstration, which may include nature-based solutions, innovative technologies, financing, insurance, and governance models, awareness and behavioral change. For the second action, the Commission wants to support the design, testing, and upscale of the innovation packages, which are found in the innovation action. Therefore, the action here should support the implementation and wide dissemination of the solutions developed and tested under subtopic 1. These both have different budgets. So for the innovation action is 10 to 15 million euro and the CSA is 3 million euro. I can leave the floor to my colleague now for area 2.
Good morning. I'm George Bugeya, one of the national contact points at MCST, and I'll be presenting several areas. I'll start with area 2, which is clean, affordable, and secure energy. We have several topics under this area, namely 3, which have, for the most part, innovation actions. So under Area 2, Call 1, we have innovative land-based and offshore renewable energy technologies and their integration into the energy system. So we have a research innovation action and an innovation action here. Under this call topic, we have 2 subtopics. The first one being the research innovation action, which is the deployment of land-based renewable energy technologies and their integration into system, and the second subtopic, which is the innovation action, this demonstration of innovative technologies to enable future large-scale deployment of offshore renewable energy. The second call under Area 2 is develop and demonstrate a 100 megawatt electrolyzer, upscaling the link between renewable energies and the commercial industrial applications, which is an innovation action. And finally, the topic 3 here is accelerating the green transition and energy access partnership with Africa, which is an innovation action again. Next slide, please. Here, as you can see, I list the highlights from each specific call and subtopic. For the first topic, we have the subtopic 1, which is very important to note here, that you only pick and address one of the 2 subtopics. So do not aim to address both. So under subtopic 1, we have an overall available budget of 18 million, but each project should be in the range of 3 to 6 million. An important aspect here is that the solutions should reach technology readiness level 4 to 5 by the end of the project, and at least one proposal for combined heat and power will be funded, and also one proposal for district heating and cooling will be funded. This is to achieve the balanced portfolio. I won't go into too much detail because of the time constraints we have today, but please feel free to contact me and set up a meeting and discuss further. What I would like also to mention here is that on the top you have the link listed for the info session that was done by the European Commission, which is approximately, in this case, 2 hours long, where they discuss each and every topic in detail. Also, the call which is in red, is a hyperlink. So once you get the presentations, you can just quickly click on them and they will take you to the text of the call. Moving on to subtopic 2, which is the innovation action. Here, by the end of the project, the technologies have to reach a TRL level of 7. Proposals have to be in the range of 20 to 35 million. Other proposals can be pushed, but I would recommend that you stay within this budget being proposed. Again, the overall budget is 68 million, so we can expect at least 2 to 3 projects to be funded. The second topic. Moving on to the other 2 topics. Some important factors about the second topic is that here the funding rate is reduced to 50% compared to all the other topics. The proposals here are in the range of 25 to 30 million with an overall budget of 60 million. Again, the electrolyzer technologies here need to bring technologies from TRL 6 to 7 to TRL 8. The project should last about 5 years, with the initial 2 years, 2 to 3 years to verify the technology and prepare it, and the final 2 years need to be operational. Moving on to the last call in this area, the available budget is 40 million, and each project should be in the range of 5 to 10 million. So that means we should see at least 2 to 4 projects being funded in this area. What you need to consider for this call relating to Africa is that you need to involve at least 2 partners from at least 1 African country to make the consortium eligible. Otherwise, you would be wasting your time and energy. I leave the floor again to Tamara for the next area.
Thank you, George, for your presentation. We now move on to Area 3. And Area 3 has a total of 2 topics. The first being closing the industrial carbon cycle to combat climate change, industry feasibility of catalytic routes for sustainable alternatives to fossil resources. It's an innovation action, and the challenge is to green the industrial and energy production. The Commission here expects you to demonstrate the full value chain for industrial production, including SMEs of synthetic fuels and chemicals, whilst reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Here, proposals are expected to bring the core technology from TRL level 4 up to TRL level 7 at the end of the project. The budget allocated for this topic is 40 million euro with a duration up to 5 years, considering the huge budget given here. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So the second topic under Area 3 is demonstration of systemic solutions for the territorial deployment of the circular economy, which is an innovation action. And the challenge here is to address the systemic crises such as climate change, pollution, waste generation, and biodiversity loss. Demonstration projects must take place for the implementation of the European Commission's Circular Cities and Regions Initiative, CCRI, and must be carried out in close cooperation and coordination with it. One can find further information on the CCRI by viewing this link here. In a nutshell, the CCRI is part of the new Circular Economy Action Plan and aims to support the implementation of circular economy solutions at local and regional scale. The technology readiness level of each circular solution should be within the 6 to 7 range at the end of the project. Each proposal should clearly state the starting and end TRL of the key technology, processes and value chains targeted in the project. The budget for this topic is between 10 to million euro. Next slide, please. Okay. So actually, I give the floor to my colleague. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Tamara. Hopefully I'm being heard. We move on to area 4, which is energy and resource efficient buildings. Again, you have the link to the info session carried out by the Commission, which you can visit. The duration is of about 1 hour and 10 minutes, which the specific call is discussed in detail. I recommend that you do listen in if you intend to apply for this call. So this is an innovation action. So we expect the proposals to deliver at least 2 large-scale real-life demonstrations of promising technologies, processes, and social innovations in different regions of Europe. The technologies within this project start at a TRL level of 5 to 6, and by the end of the project, they're expected to reach TRL level of 7 or 8. The overall budget for this topic is of 60 million, and each proposal is, or at least should be, within the range of 10 to 20 million. Again, here we expect at least 3 projects to be funded. A point which is of mention here, for this specific call, the full proposal can exceed the standard page limitation, and it can go up to 100 pages. So please take note of that, because that is very important to allow you to pitch your proposal in a better way. We move on to the next area, please. Next slide. We have area 5, which is sustainable and smart mobility. This call under area 5 is titled Green Airports and Ports as Multimodal Hubs for Sustainable and Smart Mobility. Again, it's an innovation action, and you have the link to the info session at the top. It's approximately 2 hours of discussion this specific topic. A lot of insight is shared, so I do recommend that you listen in. So on this call, you address either green airports or green ports. If you are going to address green airports, you have to address all 4 headings, which are transport, terminal, and energy and cross-cutting aspects. For the transport, you have to address all sub-aspects that are listed, and then at least 3 issues that are mentioned in the specific call text under transport. For the terminal, you at least need to cover 2 issues, which are listed. For the energy parts, at least 2 issues again. And from the cross-cutting aspects, at least 3 issues listed in the call text itself. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to discuss the specificities of these headings. Again, I invite you to send me an email for discussions for explaining all this to you. Under green ports, we expect TRL 6 or above, addressing the first aspects of the call text. Please make sure that you address this, otherwise the proposal is considered ineligible. And then you have to at least address 5 other of the aspects. Again, you have the transport, all sub-aspects, and at least 3 issues. For the terminal, at least 2 issues, and for the energy aspect, at least 2 issues again. You can do more issues, but that's up to you. I would target that whatever activities remain within the budget considerations that have been explained. Cross-cutting aspects, at least 3 other issues have to be addressed within the proposal. Next slide, please. The points I've listed here are applicable to both Area A and Area B. I won't go into too much detail, but a highlight which is very important to mention is that you have to have a dedicated work package for cooperation. So this has to elaborate it in a lot of detail. And international cooperation, so outside of Europe, is also encouraged. So take note of that. The project duration is of 48 to 60 months, and the overall budget available under this specific topic is 100 million. Each proposal should be in the range of 15 to 25 million, depending on the involvement and the aspects that you will be addressing. A maximum of 20% of the requested EU contribution should be for the follower airports or ports, and that has to be clearly defined in your proposal. What I want to conclude with is that the 2 highest ranked proposals in each area will be funded, so 2 under Area A and 2 under Area B for green ports. With that, I conclude my areas, and I leave the floor to my colleagues.
Thank you, George and Tamara. My name is Ian Gauchiborda, and I will be presenting Area 6 and Area 7. Area 6 is about the farm to fork, which mirrors the farm to fork strategy published by the Commission. The call under this area relates to testing and demonstrating systematic innovations for sustainable food from farm to fork. And the specific challenge is for European food to continue to be recognized as being safe, nutritious, and of high quality, whilst becoming more sustainable from the farm to the table. Many current production practices and consumption patterns still result in air, water, and soil pollution. These practices contribute to the loss of biodiversity and to climate change. They also challenge animal welfare and consume excessive amounts of natural resources, including water and energy. This area is divided into 6 subtopics, and if I may, I will go through them one by one. The first subtopic relates to achieving climate neutral farms by reducing greenhouse gases emissions and by increasing farm-based carbon sequestration and storage. The second subtopic is about achieving climate neutral food businesses. The third subtopic relates to reducing the dependence on hazardous pesticides, reducing the losses of nutrients from fertilizers towards zero pollution of water, soil, and air, and ultimately fertilizer use. Here, the proposals have to address all the challenges relating to pesticides, fertilizers, for instance, the loss of nutrients, etc. With regard to subtopic D, it's about reducing the dependence on the use of antimicrobials in energy production and in aquaculture. Subtopic E relates to reducing food losses and waste at every stage of the food chain. And subtopic F relates to the shifting to sustainable healthy diets. All are innovation actions whereby proposals will test, pilot, and demonstrate innovative systematic solutions corresponding to the urgent and pressing needs under each of these subtopics. Next slide, please. Okay, so the proposals have to have multi-actor and cross-sectoral approaches, engaging different persons from society, practitioners, for instance, from private institutions, public institutions, etc. NGOs, for instance, and they have to address the whole food chain, starting from the farm, from where they are produced, until they are consumed at the table. So it's the whole chain whereby different processes can be studied or improved in order to avoid this food waste. The budget for each subtopic is around 6 to 12 million euros. And the TRL level is between 5 and 7. One or more proposals may be funded under each subtopic. So if, for example, there are the two top ranking projects who between them ask for around 12 million, then two projects will be funded. Next slide, please. So this is area 7. It relates to restoring biodiversity and ecosystem services. The call under this area relates to building relates to building a low carbon, climate resilient future, research and innovation in support of the European Green Deal. The specific challenge here is about the urgent restoration of our ecosystems, from increased social awareness to more engagement with the private sector, where there is a distinct need to build transdisciplinary collaborations at all scales and across relevant ecosystem types. The actions under this area should demonstrate how restoration of ecosystems and their services can be scaled up. This should be done, as I mentioned, in collaboration with stakeholders so that the opportunities for sustainable biodiversity and ecosystem services can be realized and turned into social and economic benefits for the society. The budget for this call is around 80 million euros. However, 4 proposals will be covered. 2 proposals covering the terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems, and 2 proposals covering coastal and or marine ecosystems. So each project, each area, each 2 sets of proposals will have around 16 to 25 million euros each. All are this call is an innovation action, like area 6. And just one last note about this area is that there has to be adequate cooperation with previous and ongoing projects on economic restoration, such as, for example, the LIFE projects, the partnerships under Horizon Europe, and the missions now that will be launched. Previous projects, for example, in these areas. So this is just something to keep in mind. I will now hand over to my colleagues to continue their areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian and George, for your presentations. So we move now on to area 8, zero pollution and toxic-free environment, which has a total of 2 topics. The first being innovative systemic zero pollution solutions to protect health, environment, and natural resources from persistent and mobile chemicals. It's a research and innovation action, and here the Commission wants to address the concern about the impact on citizens' health because of chemicals present in everyday products. The chemicals which are found in our soil and water as well. So projects here must address risks posed by hazardous chemicals and more specifically, very persistent chemicals, such as PFAS. It is recommended to use the IPCAM since all chemical monitoring data resulting from projects must be shared via this platform. In fact, here you have the appropriate link listed so you could further learn about this platform after we send out the presentations. Another similar platform is the HBM4EU, which is for human biomonitoring activities, procedures, and the network of reference laboratories. HBM4EU should be used when relevant and possible. One also expects the TRL to be between level 4 and 6 when applying for this topic. The budget here is between 8 to 12 million. The next slide, please. The second topic is fostering regulatory science to address combined exposures to industrial chemicals and pharmaceuticals from science to evidence-based policies. It's a research and innovation action, and here the Commission expects you to have scientific evidence to enable prevention and/or mitigation of co-exposure to pharmaceuticals and industrial chemicals in the environment and the technosphere. Selected projects under this topic are strongly encouraged to continuously share information and participate to joint activities to optimize synergies to address policy-relevant knowledge gaps. Here we have a budget of 4 to 6 euro in order to address this specific challenge. Next slide, please. We move on to Area 9, which is strengthening our knowledge in support of the European Green Deal, and it has a total of 3 topics. The first one is European research infrastructures, capacities, and services to address European Green Deal challenges. It's a research and innovation action, and as the title suggests, proposals need to target the mobilization and advancement of world-class scientific capacities and resources, such as those offered by European research infrastructures. Within this topic, there are a total of further 3 subtopics. And they all have different budgets. The first one having 7 million, the second having 13, and the third having 8 million. As a pilot under Horizon 2020, activities will focus on the provision of research and innovation services for breakthrough research in 2 priority areas: energy storage and advanced climate environment observation and monitoring. So the first subtopic here, activities should be supporting the development of a world-class European research and industrial ecosystem, underpinning energy storage activities and related value chain. The second topic here, the action, should enhance greenhouse gases observation capacity of European research infrastructures, notably anthropogenic CO2 emissions in and around cities and other large emission cities, such as industrial sites. Transport infrastructures as well are included. The third subtopic is here the action should enhance urban air quality monitoring networks and other relevant observing infrastructures in measuring air pollutants, such as particles and their precursors. Pilot activities here are also supported. Next slide, please. The second topic is developing end-user products and services for all stakeholders and citizens supporting climate adaptation and mitigation. It's a research and innovation action, and within the title here we see the word end-user. Here, end-user stands for businesses and investors, government and citizens. The specific challenge for this topic is for decision makers to know which modes of production, consumption and lifestyle are compatible with climate resilience and pathways in order to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. The Commission invites you to build on existing services and frameworks such as Copernicus, GOS, EMODNet and ESA actions. Here the budget is between 3 to 5 million euro. Next slide, please. The last topic for Area 9 is a transparent and accessible ocean towards a digital twin of the ocean. It's an innovation action, and here essentially the Commission is expecting that projects under this topic will enable the moving towards a European ocean observing system, which is fully integrated with multidisciplinary observatories of estuarine, coastal and marine environments and socio-ecological systems, and promoting shared data management strategies. This digital view of the ocean will enable a multi-angle perception of the ocean, its physics, chemistry, geology, biology, as well as the environment environmental and socio-economic impact of human activity. One must understand the efforts of the past 10 to 20 years of public investments, and by public investments I am referring to initiatives and projects such as EMODNet, Copernicus, Eurofleet Plus, and many others which are specified in the call text. Here one must build on the existing efforts. And the budget for this topic is 12 million euro. Next slide, please. We move on to area 10, the last area, and this has a total of 3 topics. The first being empowering citizens for the transition towards a climate-neutral, sustainable Europe. All areas of the European Green Deal, from climate action to zero pollution, require citizens' active support at all stages of the transitions. Area 10 is mainly all about citizen engagement. And here the Commission expects you to include experts on gender equality and climate justice, and a balanced overall coverage of EU and associated countries should be sought. We want our citizens to have a stronger trust in policy and science institutions among citizens on European Green Deal issues, and in the long term we have to contribute to one or several SDGs. Here we have a total budget of 3 to 5 million euro. Next slide, please. The second topic is European capacities for citizen deliberation and participation for the Green Deal. It's a research and innovation action, and here we are targeting the behavior of individuals, communities, and public and private organizations. A network of experts can address behavioral change at individual and collective levels. The Green Deal leaves no one behind, and disadvantaged and vulnerable social groups and communities most affected by the transition need special attention. Economic agents bearing major additional costs, adaptations, or even phasing out of their activities due to the Green Deal requirements, they also need special attention. And here the Commission wants a balanced overall coverage of EU member states and associated countries. Actions should include several experimental studies, each implemented in at least 4 member states and/or associated countries. The gender dimension should also be included within this project. And the budget here is 3 to 5 million. Next slide, please. And the last topic under Area 10 is enabling citizens to act on climate change and environmental protection through education, citizen science, observation initiatives, and civic involvement. It's an innovation action, and this topic is divided into, so both of the subtopics have different budgets, and you only need to address one of the subtopics. We want to change the citizens' behavior towards more sustainable practices through education. A strong emphasis is placed on strengthening environmental awareness of the young generation through education and other forms of youth engagement. Pupils and students have the potential to become ambassadors for climate action, sustainable development, and environmental protection by sharing their knowledge, experience, and engagement with their families, local communities, public and private decision makers, as well through the communication and use of social media. And we can see that subtopic 1 focuses more on education, and subtopic 2 focuses more on the monitoring of the citizens and their behavior towards the environment. They both have different budgets, and the first subtopic having 3 to 5 million euro budget, and the second subtopic as well has, actually they're the same, they have 3 to 5 million euro budget. And that brings my my presentation towards an end. If you would like further information on these topics, you can contact me and my colleagues as well. We would be more than happy to do a one-to-one meeting and give further information on each and every area. I give the floor to my colleague Steve now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you all for having presented all of the Green Deal topics. We've had a number of questions which we have also replied to, but we will also go into some of them maybe towards the end of our presentation. So I just want to go into, after having obviously discussed the topics, what would be the best practice in the Green Deal. and what would be the best, obviously, way of approaching Green Deal calls. So here are just a couple of thoughts and bubbles to take into consideration for the calls. I'll start off with, especially if the call specifically relates to and asks for information on Copernicus and Galileo. Copernicus and Galileo are mentioned in some of the calls and the topics, and within each topic, Copernicus and Galileo can help in, for example, the call text, depending on how relevant it is. In some cases, for example, under the Africa call, it could be used to, for example, identify spots to develop any new renewable energy source. Copernicus and Galileo are used essentially also to evaluate the essential impacts of renewable energy structures that could potentially, or energy structures that are then developed throughout the project. So please take that into account. Most extremely important, of course, is this dissemination exploitation plan. This is extremely important, especially for innovation actions as well. Dissemination, we have to make a distinction between dissemination and exploitation. When we talk about dissemination, we're talking about the use of the information by, for example, researchers and by users of the end users of the actual project. So researchers, of course, and also elements within the user base, those would be part of a dissemination strategy. So kindly include information, for example, if you plan to utilize platforms to disseminate papers, research papers, or if you plan to, for example, if it's more market oriented, to show to the Commission that, for example, through trade shows, through exhibitions, that you are trying to build upon the proposal, not just from a research point of view, but from an actual marketable innovation point of view. Exploitation plan is very much similar. The exploitation plan is really understanding the market of the products that come out of the project. So take into consideration how, for example, the route to market is for certain products, identifying potentially the competitors or the potential solutions that are available already. And this again is extremely important, especially when it comes to the innovation actions as well. Using statistics and numbers, this is extremely important when we come into developing, for example, key performance indicators, potentially even expected impacts. The expected impacts part of a proposal, it is extremely important. It's under section 2, actually, where the impact section is obviously describing what potentially could be the key performance indicators. Statistics and numbers are very much welcomed and support your project, both from understanding the baseline and then building on top of the baseline indicators to achieve a certain goal or objective. Statistics and numbers are also used to obviously cite previous research and literature as well. With regards to the EU policies, UN SDGs, there are some core topics that mention specifically the UN SDGs. If it is mentioned, please mention how you approach the UN SDGs. First of all, an example could be, for example, creating a table of the SDGs, especially, for example, in the impact section. So when you have a UN SDG 2, 3, or 4, and seeing what the context of that SDG is within your project and how you would intend to achieve that SDGs within the project. So having a table is extremely relevant, for example, in this case. And of course, the EU policies. It's always very good to have some background research into what EU policy exists with regards to the text that you are referring to. And this obviously shows that you've done your background research. For some topics, there is this element of obviously developing potentially or researching into different EU policies as well. So this is also important to mention as well. Politically, from that standpoint, referring to EU policies really helps to the evaluator that you have an understanding of the context. Duration of the project should be reasonable and justified. Now, generally speaking, from a market perspective and market point of view, if, for example, you're looking into an IA, of course, the time frame is very important, especially if it's something that is more an innovation action-based call or topic. The duration of the project shouldn't be too long. Generally speaking, a duration of the project is about 3 years, but it can be longer or shorter. But this has to be really in line and be reasonable. Importantly, as well, is to build on top of other projects, and this is really something that can be done even looking into the previous calls and the previous topics related to that topic. I highly suggest, for example, looking into Cordis, which is a database of all the projects, and to see what has been done before and how you intend to build on top of that. Identifying other projects as well shows that, again, you're not repeating what has been already done in the past. And of course, include risks and mitigations is pretty obvious. I highly recommend using, for example, the PEST tool model, which, for example, takes into account the political risks, operational risks, environmental risks, and shows that you are obviously taking into consideration all the different elements. Last couple of points here. Again, I was mentioning the impact section under IA topics. The impact section is extremely important. There's more weight on the evaluation, so especially when you're identifying the expected impacts, really put into consideration what you expect to achieve from the project. There should be obviously an interdisciplinary approach. So again, even when building your consortium, take into consideration all the different cost-cutting issues within the topic. So showing that you have a consortium that really touches across all the different types of disciplines, especially related to cold text, is extremely important. With regards to the size of the consortium, again, going back on that, it's not really important how big the consortium, but that they match exactly what is needed, and really that you can do by even breaking down the cold text and seeing what section could be achieved by a certain partner. Try and avoid doing double the work, and show that consortium members have specific tasks. Of course, consortium members can work on the same work package, but they should have specific duties that are obviously aligned to their expertise. Considering the gender analysis, of course, not just the gender balance, but also in terms of the gender, how you impact gender during the project. So it's, again, I stress it's not just about the team, but it's also about how the project will achieve gender issues, even if it might not specifically have a gender aspect from the outset. Lastly, of course, take into account, make this proposal more graphic, image tables, try and structure the proposal in a way that is not so heavy on text and more dynamic. I'm going to go quickly into now what are the potential partnering opportunities. In terms of partnering opportunities, it's extremely important to know that there are platforms available to find partners. We support within the MCST to help you find your partner, but there are also specific opportunities that I will show to you today, which I highly recommend that you register for. And these are basically specific platforms dedicated to finding new partners. So first of all, as I mentioned to you, we actually have a specific link on our website where we will, first of all, post links to foreign partner searches. We receive partner searches, but we would also like to take this opportunity to also use this platform to post your platform. In this sense, it is extremely important, for example, to look into the areas that you're interested in, and then potentially try and approach one of these areas. And we can publish your partner search not only on our website, but also on our networks that I will explain to you very briefly. The B2B events, these are the main B2B events. So again, these are specific platforms beyond what I just showed to you right now. We will be providing these links in the presentation when we will distribute them. There's one actually coming out on the 9th of October, but there's also a virtual brokerage event happening on the 14th and 15th of October. These are organized by different entities within, of course, the Horizon 2020 network. A couple more here. There's one specifically related to the farm to fork, and there's one, for example, specifically related to topics that fall under the energy cluster. So take into consideration, these are great opportunities to potentially find a partner, both as if you are coordinating a project or if you just want to join a consortium. And these links will be shared with you. And again, another one here that I will be again distributing, including one on social sciences as well for the more social science topics that were covered during our web. Apart from this, we highly recommend that you register on the partner search portal as well. We can assist you in doing that. Obviously, there's the Green Deal calls, which are listed on the Fundings and Tenders portal. We have the partner search tool, which is basically a collection of main clusters that are obviously managing and guiding applicants. There's a specific link where you can actually submit your interest as well. And also within the Funding and Tenders portal, there is also another way to search for partners. So there are different ways to search for partners. We've listed basically all of them. But again, come to us if you still would like to explore this further and understand what is the best way to look for a partner or to join a consortium. And this brings me perfectly onto how we can help you from today onwards. And obviously, for all applicants interested, we are here as national contact points. We're here obviously to spread the awareness, to advise, and to bring advice. Specifically, we are 7 people within the unit, and all of us have a role, and we basically can help you both advise you on which topic to apply for and how to potentially join a consortium as well. We also look into the different elements such as reviewing proposals. And I'd like to stress this out, that all of our services are free. We don't charge, we are a public entity. Everything that we provide here is is provided for free. Last but not least, another support mechanism that could and essentially will help entities that are interested in applying. We have something called the IPAS Plus grants. I've listed what the whole grant structure is, but basically it is split into 2 options. But I'd like to turn your attention to option B. In the case that Maltese entities want to submit a Horizon 2020 proposal as a coordinator of the consortium, we provide a grant of up to 5,000 euros to support the applicant through proposal writing and submission. So if any of you today intend to coordinate a project, you may use this opportunity to apply for a grant of 5,000 euros. And the opening has already been launched, and the deadline for the applications is the 6th of November of next month. Another potential opportunity, which potentially is not specifically related to the Green Deal, but again, for those of you that are interested in Green Deal topics, you might be also interested in learning more about the Paradise Call, which is a call that is being launched by MCST. This call is specifically for entities that are interested in exactly developing new ideas related to plastics and obviously the reduction of plastics. So this is a call that we as an entity were actually launching ourselves. We're using this as an opportunity, obviously, to help candidates potentially apply for eventual calls under the Horizon Europe scheme, which will be launched in 2021. But for those of you that are interested and that obviously would be interested in applying for the Green Deal call, are also very likely to apply for the Paradise call. I will be adding the links to all of these opportunities when we distribute the slides. And the deadline for this is also on the 6th of November, starting next month. These are our contact details. You may contact any of us within the Horizon 2020 unit, and we can essentially help you and guide you throughout the whole process. And each of us will obviously give you all the needed support and advice. Feel free to reach out to us. Again, contact details are listed here. And this brings a great end to the actual presentation. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having attended this webinar. In the meantime, we will be using the opportunity to, first of all, ask you to register not only to our Facebook page, which we have, Horizon 2020 Malta. We have Twitter as well, Horizon 2020 Malta, and we highly suggest and recommend that you register to our newsletter on our website. And the newsletter gives more opportunities such as these ones that we have listed today. We'd like to take now this opportunity to potentially answer any questions that you may have. And I'd like to potentially go through this now by looking into the questions that our candidates have assigned. But in the meantime, please feel free either to write, or if you would like to ask for the floor, please mention it in the chat box, and we can potentially give the opportunity to ask any questions.
Steve, so I'll take over because there have been a few questions. First, I'd like to start by clarifying that with regards to the European Green Deal calls, the United Kingdom is considered as a fully eligible participant. What that means is they are considered as still as a member state and are fully eligible till the end of Horizon 2020. So under the Green Deal calls, UK-based entities are fully eligible. We had a specific question with regards to the Africa call, which we already addressed in the call chat itself, but just to elaborate, the question was if the African partners are eligible for financing or if they need to bring their own budget. The answer is specifically for this call, the African partners are fully eligible and they will receive funding. If they are for-profit entities, since this is an innovation action, they are 100% funded, while any entity which is for-profit, since it's innovation action, they get 70% funding rate. With regards to the eligibility of countries, what I would like to refer you to is the Annex, I believe, A of the work program, which lists the eligible countries. Here you'll find a list of the eligible countries which are outside of Europe. Specifically for the Africa call, I'd like to mention that Tunisia is a fully associated country, so you have no worries there with regard to the eligibility coming from Tunisia. But for the specificities of the other countries, please refer to the general annexes where you have all the countries listed for eligibility. Moving on to the next question, we had Harold Bonnici who asked, the funds will be made available under which structure, example grants? I'm not sure what Harold meant. So Harold, if you're still with us, please elaborate. You can come in and use your microphone as well. But I believe what you're asking is, how is the grant given for the specific cause? So this is the normal way Horizon 2020 works, where the funds are passed to the consortium once it's selected. You have pre-financing, which supports the initial activities of the project, and once you carry out the reporting, the first initial reporting, you will be passed more funds to carry out the project. So normally do not go out of pocket. If that was not actually your question, please do come in so we can clarify it for you. What I would add is that all Horizon 2020 is a grant type of scheme. So we move on to the next question. We had, I believe, Nina, who asked if 3 different legal entities from 3 different member states apply for a project, which only implement in one of the member states, example Malta, would it be allowed, or does the project need to be implemented across the 3 different member states in tandem? Would it be possible to start off with implementing in one of the member states with the aim of scaling up later on? So basically this is the core requirement in Horizon 2020. So 3 legal entities from 3 different member states have to be involved in the project. With regards to implementation, every partner within the consortium has to have a role which is fruitful and contributes to the project outcome. So to be clear in giving you an answer, yes, the actual implementation of an action can take place in one country. For example, if a demonstration is going to take place, let's say, for example, in Norway, the demonstrator, of course, is going to be within Norwegian territory. However, I use the bad example because of Norway, but let's say and for example, yes, the demonstration can take place there. It doesn't need to be replicated physically in another country, but the other partners from the other member states have to contribute to the project and within their own territories. So I think I addressed that question.
Can I add something onto that, George?
Yes, go ahead.
Also check out the call text, because there's an exception, for example, under European capacities for citizen deliberation and participation for the Green Team call, requires experimental studies to be implemented in at least 4 member states. So always check the call text as well, but George explained the general rules that apply. As long as the partner is relevant and to the project, you can carry out experimental studies or implementation in one state.
That is correct. I mean, each specific call has its own requirements. For example, the Africa one, of course, the activities need to take place in an African countries, but the actual research can take place in the other countries, but the actual physical implementation needs to be in Africa. Moving on to the next question, which again is from Neen, regarding renewable energy sub-calls towards a climate neutral and societal innovative cities, B, climate resilience innovative packages for EU regions, and C, building low carbon climate resilient future research innovation in support of the European Green Deal. How mature does it have to be? Please refer to the technology readiness level, or as we abbreviate TRL level, which will give you an indication of where the technology has to start and where it needs to end up by carrying out the project. A follow-up question was, can it be beyond research, but more towards implementation stage? Yes, most of the Green Deal calls are about, but are innovation actions. And what that means is they have to be tangible with a short-term implementation. So to explain that a bit more, you have to implement and bring it to the market. Can it be, the follow-up question is, can it be close to commercialization? Yes, since it has to reach the market. We're talking about TRL level, I believe, beyond 6, so 7, 8, and 9.
Yes, and especially if it's an innovation action.
Exactly, that's what I was explaining. Since most of the calls are innovation actions, you have to reach a higher TRL level. And this is clearly indicated in the call text for each topic. I believe we don't have any follow-up questions. If anyone wants to ask any questions, you can either use the chat or unmute yourself in a good fashioned order to ask a question.
Maybe something I can add on. When it's a CSA, there is an opportunity to participate as a mono-beneficiary. So there are some exceptions to the rule, to the general rule. However, it all depends on the call text. So each case to their own. However, CSA is the only, at least in the societal challenges, and as well in the Green Deal, you can actually, it's the only loophole where you can participate as a mono-beneficiary.
I believe we'll have no further questions. Thank you all for participating. And again, if you intend to participate in a Horizon 2020 submission, feel free to reach out to us because we offer different services such as proposal evaluation, where we review your proposal, not in a technical aspect, but more of an administrative one where we can give you some tips prior to submission. As Steve mentioned, we have several open calls, such as the Paradise and IPES schemes. Another scheme that was not mentioned in the slides, but my interest is we have an open call for evaluation services for the Research Excellence Program administered by MCST, and also for the Paradise Call itself, we're looking for evaluators. So please reach out to MCST for further insight. And one last thing I would like to mention is that the European Commission itself seeks evaluators, and this is a nice way to participate in European research innovation funding is by providing your technical capacity as a service to the European Commission as an evaluator. You can find all this information on the Funding and Tenders portal, or reach out to us and we'll send you the link for the evaluation services. Thank you very much for joining, and I think we can conclude here.
Thank you all for joining. Again, please feel free to reach out to us. We've provided the contact details. We will be sharing the presentation with all of the links to the calls, to the B2B events, to the support mechanisms. Everything will be shared with you in the following email. And thank you very much for joining us today. And we hope that you have a great day. Thank you.